Hello everyone, Kid here, and this should be the final part, I hope, of this act. So yeah, let's get right into it. Section 602, General Power not created by power holder. In this section, general power of appointment does not include a postponed power of appointment. Appointed if property subject to presently exercisable general power of appointment created by an individual other than the power holder is subject to a claim of the creditor of the holder or the holder's estate to the extent of the holder's property is insufficient to satisfy that claim. On a power holder's death, appointed if property subject appointed property subject to a testamentary general power of appointment created by an individual or than the holder's subject is to a claim of the creditor of the holder's estate to that extent of the holder's property is insufficient to satisfy that claim. The holder of a power of withdrawal is treated during the period of power of withdrawal may be exercised in the same manner as the power holder of a presently exercisable general power of appointment to the extent of the property subject is to the power of withdrawal. E. On the last release or waiver of power of withdrawal, the holder of the power is treated with the power of holder of presently exercisable general power of appointment only to the extent of the value of the property affected by the lapse, release, or waiver exceeds the greater of the amount specified in section 241B2 or 2514E of the Internal Revenue Code of 1986 or section 25003B of the Internal Revenue Code 1986 on the effective date of the Act as amended. Comment. Subsections B and C reaffirm and fundamental principle that presentably exercisable general power of appointment is an ownership equivalent power. Consequently, subsection B provides that property subject to presently exercisable general power of appointment is subject to the claims of the power holder's creditors to the extent of the property owned by the power holder is insufficient to satisfy those claims. Furthermore, upon the power holder's death, subsection C provides that property to subject to general power of appointment that was exercisable by the power holder's will it is subject to creditors' claims to the extent of that the power holder's estate is insufficient. In each case, whether the power holder has or has not purported to exercise the power is immaterial. Subsection A reflects an important exception. A general power of appointment is not subject to the rules of this section if a postponed power. See reinstatement third of property, wills, and other determinative transfers, comment B. Subsection D treats a power of withdrawal as the equivalent of a presently exercisable general power of appointment, because the two are ownership equivalent powers. Upon the lapse, release, or waiver of the power of withdrawal, subsection E follows the lead of Uniform Trust Code in creating a exception for property subject to a Crumley or 5N5 power. The holder of a power of withdrawal is treated as a power wholly of a presently exercisable power, general power of appointment, only to the extent of the value of property affected by the lapse, release, or waiver exceeds the greater of the amount specified in Internal Revenue Code. The rules of subsections A through C are consistent with, and this comment draws on, reinstatement that of property, wills, and other determinative transfers, and the accompanying commentary. The black letter of subsection D and E are based on the black letter of Uniform Trust Code. Section 603. Non-general power. A. Except otherwise provided in subsections B and C, appointed property subject to a non-general power of appointment is exempt from a claim of a creditor or power holder or the holder's estate. B. Appointed property subject to a non-general power of appointment is subject to a claim of the creditor of the power holder's or the holder's estate to the extent of the holder owned the property and, reserving the non-general power, transferred the property in violation of city-state statute on fraudulent transfers or the Uniform Fraudulent Transfers Act. This went a bit too far out there. Comment. Subsections A states the general rule. Appointed property subject to a non-general power of appointment is exempt from a claim of the creditor of the power holders or the power holder's estate. The rationale for this general rule is a non-general power of appointment is not an ownership or equivalent power. So generally, the power holder's creditors have no claim to the appointed assets, irrespective of whether the power holder exercises the power. Subsection B addresses an important exception, the fraudulent transfer. A fraudulent transfer arises if the power holder formerly owned the appointed property covered by the non-general power and they transferred the property in a fraud of creditors, reserving the non-general power. and in such a case, the creditors can reach the acquired property under rulings relating to fraudulent transfers. Subsection C also addresses an important exception arising when the gift in default of appointment is to the power holder or the power holder's estate. In such a case, the power of appointment is in a form of non-general power, is in a subrogate non-general power, and the rights of the power holder's creditors are governed by sections 601 and 602. The rules of this section are consistent with, and this comment draws on, reinstatement theory of property, wills, and determinative transfers, and the accompanying commentary. Article 7. Miscellaneous provisions. Section 701. Uniformity of application and construction. In applying and constructing this Uniform Act, consideration must be given to need to promote the uniformity of the law with respect to its subject matter among the states that enact it. Section 702. Relation to electronic signatures in Global and National Commerce Act. This act modifies, limits, and supersedes the federal electronic signatures in Global and National Commerce Act 15 U.S.C. Section 701, but does not modify, limit, or supersede Section 101 of that Act. They are authorized electronic delivery of any notices described in Section 103 of the Act, 15 U.S.C. Section 703. Section 703 repels. The following are repealed. Section 704 effective date. This Act takes effect. And yeah, that's about it. Please like, subscribe, and I'll see you guys in the next video. Have a nice day. Goodbye.